Welcome to Directionally Correct, a Felix podcast with Cole and Scott. Today's guest, nobody.
There you go.
There we go.
I love it. Hey, Directionally Correct fans. If you're looking to stay connected to the podcast, make sure to subscribe to our Substack newsletter, watch our videos on YouTube, or listen to the podcast on your app of choice. This podcast is dedicated to you to help educate and entertain you on how to effectively do people analytics. We are a listener-supported podcast, so please consider becoming a patron. If you'd like to support the podcast by becoming a patron, you can find a link to sign up in the show notes or at patron.podbean.com/directionallycorrect. Thanks for being a listener. All opinions are our own and do not reflect those of any other organization.
Ryan Reynolds, he used to do, he owns Mint Mobile, and he was advertising Bobby Bonilla Day, which is going deep, but Bobby Bonilla had this crazy contract where they give him $1 million for 50 years. And he signed it, in 1985 or something like that. And it's called Bobby Bonilla Day. He just gets $1 million in the mail. It's the greatest thing ever. And
Who is that?
Boy, it's pre-Cole times. It's a baseball player. I think he was a New York. I think he was a San Francisco.
He gets $1 million even after he's retired?
Yeah, that's the thing. He signed this contract, and they just deliver to him every year.
That's wild.
Yeah. Wouldn't you take that deal? Do you want $10 million right now, or
Depends on the rate of inflation, frankly.
That's true too.
If you sign $1 million deal today, 10 years from now, if we're on the same rate, $1 million a year will be 50 cents.
It's pretty crazy, looking at the old contracts of these sports stars. Oh my God, Brett Favre made $11 million his whole career. That's a made up number, but it's well, incoming draft pick, $80 million.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
It's wild. Well, you want to talk book?
I love book. Let's talk book.
This is so odd.
No, I will set you up. I will attempt to set you up. So I think the podcast started, at least one of the first things we talked about pre-podcast was hey, you're thinking about writing a book, and I don't know if the podcast is even really related to it, other than a way to banter about it. But you have published this book at as of June 2025.
Well, when this podcast episode comes out, the book will be published.
Okay, there you go.
Right there. Yeah.
And it's Cole Napper, People Analytics Master. He's written this book, comprehensive book on people analytics, and I couldn't be prouder of you. It's really, really cool that you did this.
Well, first of all, I appreciate that. I can give that backstory if you want. So it was before we started the podcast. I was working with some folks at the time, and we were talking about publishing a book, and the publishers wanted proof that we had an audience for the book, and I had no way of quantifying that I have an audience. And so then that happened to coincide with you and I talking about starting the podcast. I was like, hey, this would be a really great way of saying we have an audience. And then for whatever reason that one fell through a while back, but yeah, man, so the book is called People Analytics: Using Data-Driven HR and Generative AI as a Business Asset. And I was actually really worried in writing it that it wouldn't be relevant by the time it came out.
Yeah.
Actually,
the world's moving fast.
Yeah, the world's moving fast. I was like, all this stuff is going to be outdated. And then I it's come time where it's getting published. I'm like, this tracks. This is exactly what we should be talking about right now. And so I feel really good about it. And it's broken down into 3 sections. So the first section is called business value. And so basically it's saying, imagine AI didn't exist. All right. Imagine it doesn't exist. What should you do today if you wanted to add business value with people analytics? Because frankly, I think a lot of folks are doing it wrong. All right. The second section is okay, generative AI does exist. Let's give a primer on it. Right. And so kind of going through some of the basics of generative AI. And then the third section I called How to Win, which is essentially, here's how people analytics is done today for everything under the sun I could think of. And here's how it will change using generative AI. We're using the best kind of knowledge that's available today. Obviously, it might change 3 years from now or 5 years from now, but I did my best to try to make it evergreen, looking out into the future. And frankly, I think it's going to be pretty good. And I hope people that are listening check it out and give it a look, because I had a lot of and we've even talked about it on the podcast, I had a lot of trials and tribulations about writing it. But now that it's done, I mean, I feel pretty good about it. I'm proud of it. And I think it hopefully will stand the test of time for thinking about what the next phase shift for people analytics will be.
I recently published a single chapter in a book. I know how arduous that process was. And I think this book's 225, 250 pages, something like that. It's sizable. Thumbing through it, chapter 2 on, turning people analytics into a cost producer, a profit center as opposed to a cost center. You talk about evergreen. This should be emphasized even more. I was digging into it, and I think this is where we can really make inroads into people analytics. That I think that's really, really money that no one really talks about that much.
Yeah, I remember I was at a conference last year, and I was giving a keynote presentation, and I asked the audience, is anybody here made a commitment to the business for providing an ROI over $1 million?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's hundreds of people in the room, and not a single person, other than this one vendor guy, I know who he is, but he didn't work internally, so it didn't apply, in my opinion. Nobody raised their hand. And so I that actually happened to coincide with right when I was starting to write the book. And frankly, I was probably working on that chapter at the time. And so I was like, you know what? I need to write something about how to give back to the business in terms of what we do, because people analytics for research is cool. People analytics to do something that ends up in a Malcolm Gladwell book is cool. People analytics that returns value to the business is indispensable. And we have had too much cool and not enough indispensable in our history. And frankly, just to be charitable to our field, I don't think a lot of people were equipped to know how to do that effectively.
No.
So I was like, why don't I just write a chapter about how to do that effectively and give people the playbook instead of always chiding them for not doing it? And I think that's a more productive way of moving forward as a field, is hey, here, instead of complaining about it, here's what we can do about it.
You and I have had private conversations, and you've really kind of dug into these sort of things, and you talk about them in the book as well. And I don't want to step too much. I don't want to give too much away in the book, so I want people to actually buy it. But essentially, what's the cost to implement it? What's the cost to not implement it? And there's more steps in there, but yeah, I mean, some basic sort of things to just think about that can deliver fantastic value.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I appreciate you checking out, dude. One of the things about this podcast is I personally, I see you as a friend, and so a lot of times we're just bantering about travel or stuff like that, or wearing an orange hat or whatever. And, I don't think either of us give each other enough credit for I think you do brilliant stuff, and I really appreciate that you're able to kind of dig into some of this stuff and check it out. And so I'm really appreciative of that.
Oh, well, I mean, it's interesting stuff, right? It's what we both enjoy doing. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to leave off what you talked about earlier, about the Gen AI. Talk about more relevant now for people analytics than anything else. We're entering a world where is it nascent? I don't know anymore. It won't be in soon.
I would call it structural now.
Okay, yeah.
And the funny thing, there were two funny things about that section of the book that I found most interesting. One, just the funny thing is, I thought the chapter I was going to like the least writing was actually the chapter I liked the most.
What was that? What was that?
The chapter about how to build data infrastructure for generative AI. That was the funnest one. Going in and doing so, because frankly, I learned a lot by writing it, but two, it opened my eyes somewhat to the possibilities. If you really can get your data infrastructure right, it opens up so much green field for what generative AI can do. And so if you're if you had a 100 incremental dollars that you could spend today, spend 99 of them on infrastructure and 1% on a generative AI wrapper, right? Because that's where you're going to get the big lift. The chapter, frankly, that was the hardest to write was the one on ethics, because I couldn't find 150th way to say don't do fucked up stuff using people analytics like that. Like I was just like, I've run out of creative ways to say don't do messed up things.
Trust your own internal moral compass. Like it's like just everything reversed to the golden rule at some point.
Yeah, or something like that.
You know what I like the most of it? Thumbing through the references. It's all like Napper and Hines. This episode of Directionally Correct. Napper and I was like, damn, look at all my citations.
We feature very prominently. No, and just I know we're kind of making fun of it, but we have had. I mean, I can't say enough about the special guests that we've had on this podcast. That really, I don't think I could have written the book, frankly, without having had so many smart people come and talk to us. And so there's a lot of generosity towards those previous guests, but also to you and I featured in there. And so, yeah, I mean, the book definitely features the podcast prominently.
Well, I think it's a luxury, right? And like, hopefully, hopefully other people derive benefit from it as well. But being able to just talk about it every week with like super smart, interesting people that are doing it, you're just learning constantly. Like I always take like a network analytic approach, but it's exploration constantly, and you kind of see around corners what's coming up next.
Because we've both been here. Like there were points in my career where like, you got your 3 coworkers and you want to talk about like the people analytics issue of the day. And once you've exhausted all 3 or 4 of your ideas, that's it. Right. And then the podcast, something, hot pops off in people analytics. And we find the smartest fucking person in the world that is researching that topic. And we're like, hey, let's bring him on as a guest. And just really, I mean, I like whether it be through osmosis or just, being a good listener, I've learned so much of this. I've learned so much through listening to you, but also to the many guests that we've had.
Probably should have someone on about ethics. That's a note to self.
Note to self, need to have the ethics episode.
We'll call him a nerd and kick him out. Like, get out of here. What are you talking about? Fucking nerd.
Yeah. Well,
no, I couldn't be prouder. Like it is so cool to see it. I'm thumbing through it and like I see all these diagrams. I'm like, there's no way Cole sat there on Excel making diagrams.
No, I actually
what? Get it?
Yes. Every diagram that was in that book. And I will say this because there was a point of contention. I tried to get some people at work to help me out.
Yeah.
So like those are Cole Napper built. They are. That's me through and through.
Well, color me double impressed because I was like, there ain't no way Cole did this.
No, I spent some effort on
it. There's so much to like. I've been through the publishing process. And like I feel for you. Like once you write that book and like you got all your diagrams made, you send it off, and you're like, "Whoo, I can relax." Now you come with the copy edits, and you got to sign off on everything. And there's a million edits. It's kind of like going through grad school and like you present your dissertation, and you're like, "I defended it. Hell yes, I am done." Oh no, you are not. Oh no, you are not. It is never fucking ending.
It's never done. You get a paper copy of it. It's like, oh, not done yet.
Where can folks find it? Is it on Amazon? All the basic places?
Yeah, I mean, anywhere you can find a book. August 26, 2025, just for the people out there that are, listening to this 5 years from now. And yeah, I'm super excited, and I appreciate you giving me a chance to talk about it on here, man. And I know this has like slightly a different feel to the Cole and Scott episodes that we've done before, but yeah, thanks so much for digging into it and giving it a look.
I never thought about like a robot in the future looking back at this episode and like laughing at our human ways.
Well, the weird thing is, not to get too off track, but I think they're already doing it. They're already doing it now. Like I feel like our podcast gets scraped. I think a lot of people's do, and it's kind of weird when you think about it.
Oh Lord. Maybe a virtual podcast host eventually. It's like,
well, I mean, I had this conversation at a conference earlier this year with a few people that we know, and they were all making kind of jokes, but kind of serious. Like, have we looked into experimenting, trying to create our own digital twins and have our own digital podcast that we're
Yeah.
not even a part of? And I just like thought about it. I was like, yeah, that'd be a lot of work, and it would cost money too, because none of like the free versions do it, but like you could do it with like paid versions. And two, I like doing the podcast. Like I don't want an AI to do it. Like there would be a novelty aspect to it, but I just don't care enough to do it from a novelty standpoint.
Well, I mean, like, if you want to go tangential, like, let's dig into this because, like, I've been thinking about AI a lot, especially like recent advances and like obviously it's speeding up. It is
Yeah.
speeding up. Like we've known it's been speeding up for a long time, and I've noticed that despite how it was sold to me early on, it's taken away all the fun parts of my job. A lot of like the problem solving, a lot of like the, just like figuring it out and doing it sort of aspects to the point where it's like, what do we do when we don't have, real problems to solve? Like, I need that intellectual stimulation. And I can already feel it in this, what you want to call it nascent, you want to call it structural, whatever you want to call it, phase that like I don't derive enjoyment from putting 4 bullets and saying, "Write a paper for me." Right?
Yeah.
I have no joy in that.
Well, I want to dig into two things you said there. One, I'd love to know, like, what is like one tangible thing that you really like to do that you feel like it does completely
Yeah.
yet, or even if it just augments it. But the second is, it seems like you're saying like kind of it's not the destination, it's the journey, right? And AI is really good at getting to the destination, but it would be really cool if you got to have the journey again. I mean, is that part of it too?
Yes. Yes, and like you've known me for a long time, and like one of the things I used to like doing, I still like doing is tinkering. Get an idea, how to play with it. I don't find myself doing that as much as I used to. Just because like you can throw
Do you not
something.
get joy from it anymore, or just it seems irrelevant?
Um, More the joy aspect. Like there's like a sense of accomplishment. And granted, like my tinker rate was 10% success, but some of those are like kind of like big hits, a lot of big misses along the way too. But like there's a way. Ethan Mullet talks about this a bit. There's a way to use Gen AI as a companion that helps you along the process.
Yeah.
And there's a way to use it as a automaton that just does everything for you. And
Well, that kind of goes to my first question. Like, was there anything that you tinkered with before that AI just does completely? Now
well,
that you're
now you just throw something in there. Like, say I want to code an R Python. I want to code something. It's like make me I don't know, a GG plot that shows the relative distribution of network analytics and employee sentiment. Whatever it is. It's like bloop, 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 done.
Yep.
Like, okay, well,
Well, now it's done.
now
What do I do next?
yeah, now what do I do? I think, but like obviously you get like much more complex problems in that. But there's maybe it is like to your point. There's something about the journey, and there's something about really thinking about it and having to sit with the problem for a while to
Yeah.
understand it.
Well, like, and that was one of my reservations in writing the book. And I kind of got called out on like a session I did earlier this year. It was like, why would you write a book about generative AI when generative AI is going to, disrupt the whole concept of books? And part of it is like, well, I think I have some ideas that aren't in the corpus of knowledge that, frankly, when I try to use generative AI to talk about people analytics are missing. And so part of it is like books still have like inherent meaning and the journey is valuable. And part of it is like this book is actually going to train the algorithms of the future. And because they do have like quote unquote trusted sources that they prioritize. And if this can be considered a trusted source, then that to me it might be the most lasting contribution I ever make. Right.
Yes. The written word is semi-permanent anyway, especially in book form. In of one, my own experience, but I have gravitated towards reading a lot more now. Like,
Really?
yeah, about an hour and a half a day. I'm reading random books, like not necessarily people analytics, but Some are just like all over the place, which, obviously going through grad school, you have to read a lot, but I'm gravitating more towards this sort of thing. And maybe it's just my time's being displaced. Like I no longer like tinker with maybe like as I used to, and now I gotta spend it somewhere else. But when I could just throw all this up into a LLM and say like, give me the 5 main points here.
Yeah. I imagine people who like rode horses to work before cars existed. Probably a lot of them started to feel like they probably had the option to keep a horse or buy a car. And like they're like some of them like kept the horses obviously. But most people just bought the car, and then like person who's riding the horse probably sometimes sits around and thinks, well, why am I doing this still? I don't know. That may be a terrible analogy, but like there's a part of that I really think like if you know that some technology is coming along, regardless of your industry, that some technology is coming along. It may not exist yet, but 2 years from now, you're going to be completely unemployed and never be able to do that again. There's something about it cyclically that's demotivating today. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're actually, maybe what you're going through. I know I've felt it personally, but also I think society is going through is like, I think a lot of people kind of feel that malaise of like, well, it may not be able to do it yet, but because it might do it 3 years from now, that in itself is like, what do I fucking do?
Well, yes. Yeah.
You drop a lot of F-bombs today. I'm sorry for that.
No,
bleep those out.
Cole should be fucking ashamed. I mean, maybe this is where IOs can exercise their power. Is it called IOs? Like, how do you enable or retain the meaning that people have in life if you don't have much to do? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a big societal question that we got to figure out. Yeah. Randomly, this is completely unrelated, but sort of related. I was listening to this podcast by I think I talked about him a while back. One of my favorite bands growing up was Under Oath. They were a guest on somebody's podcast, and the drummer there was talking about like when they popped off and they became a big, like really famous.
Yeah.
He like really started struggling with like anxiety issues, and the host brought up Louis Capaldi. Do you know who Louis Capaldi is?
The name sounds vaguely familiar, but no.
Yeah, he was like he had a few popular songs, but the one that was like super popular, I didn't know who he was, but I heard the song. I was like, oh yeah, I know this guy. And it was called Someone You Love.
Okay.
So he's like a British rock star kind of dude, but it was like basically like 10 years ago or something like that he had this song. And he like writes his first album and it blows up. And so I actually ended up watching a documentary about this guy. And it blows up, and then he's trying to write a second album, and he realizes like he can't recapture the magic of the first one, and he gets so anxious about it. He literally like gets Tourette's, and so he goes on stage at this big festival, and he is so anxious he can't sing his own song. And I don't know, there's something about this moment that just feels sort of like that, where it's like we're so like I felt a lot of anxiety lately. We've talked about it, and it's just like there's something about this moment that just feels like there's a lot of anxiety provoked about the future and like how are we going to deal with that?
Yeah, we're at a nexus. Of course, it's a disruptive technology, and like try to go back in human history, like the printing press, like or like looms, like weaving looms. Like people used to come out and, like smash them. And like Luddites, literally, they're Luddites.
Yeah, that's literally what the term comes.
And like, if under penalty of death, they'd be hanged if they were caught doing this sort of stuff. You talk about anxiety, so anxious that they like smash the methods of production.
Yeah, it's just a weird time we live in right now.
Yeah, boy, man, I feel like we're getting dark, but like,
it's not dark. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, I've had like a lot of mixed emotions about this podcast over the last few months.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of work. I feel like a lot of positive reactions, but more negative reactions than I wish.
Really?
And it's just like it's really been weighing on me, and I haven't known what to do about it, to be honest with you. I don't know. Just wanted to talk to you about it, and I don't know, just seem relevant at this moment.
What are people being mean to you? What's going on?
No, it's not being mean. It's just I don't know, just general negativity. But I don't know. I really like this. I really like talking to you. I really like having the microphone. I'll tell you this. So, and I can't remember if you were there or not, but PsyOp this year did this presentation on personal branding. It was a whole panel. There was like 7 other people on there. I was on there, and we were talking about like how to build a personal brand.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that these other people are all like mostly all of I knew or like friends of mine. And I thought we were all doing like the personal brand thing for like the same reasons. I realized like I'm completely afield from everyone else. Everyone else had an objective, right? Like they were doing all this stuff, and I was like, I just want to have a voice and not be completely, like shouting into an empty hallway and nobody's there to hear it.
Yeah.
And I realized like all of them like have like a business plan and like they were really strategic about everything that they do. And like, I'm just doing stuff. And I don't know. I think there was a part of it where I realized like I need to like recalibrate why I'm doing a lot of these things. And I'm going through like my own growth as a human, and it's in public, and it feels uncomfortable, and that gives me anxiety. And then other people see it, and it's like, I don't know. I wish it were private, if that made sense. Like I wish like the evolution were private, but it's public, and it's like, I don't know. It feels very vulnerable all the time.
You're like a caterpillar in your chrysalis stage, ready to become a butterfly.
Trying to, man.
Super
That wing.
I've always said like I do it for the fun. I do it to talk to interesting people and have fun, interesting conversations. And if that goes away, then if that is not the way it's playing out, then
yeah,
probably shouldn't do it anymore because it don't want to be a drain. Want to be an additive for real.
Well, it's not just the podcast. Like my job is very visible. I have a newsletter that's very visible. Obviously, I'm writing a book. I'm putting on the PsyOp Leading Edge Consortium conference. Got a lot of stuff going on.
You vacation, like, dude.
Yeah, seriously. Even I just got back from one, ironically. Anyway, I appreciate you listening to me about that. But I don't know. You want to do some Confusion Matrix? You got something you want to talk about?
Yeah, dude. Well, maybe there'll be more podcasts. Maybe there won't be. We'll find out. Find out.
The Confusion Matrix.
Okay. I got these are random thoughts.
Random thoughts.
Hit you some random thoughts.
New segment.
I'll start you off soft, and we'll go more hardcore from there. Okay, what is more disturbing, the shivering dog on TV or the cleft palate kid on TV?
Are you talking about those commercials where they're like,
yeah,
please give money?
Give us money, yeah.
I mean, I definitely feel I know there's people that like, for whatever reason, care more about dogs than humans, which I never understood.
Weird, really weird.
It is weird, but I definitely the cleft palate person. And also, but weirdly enough, when I see those, I also think it's like a miracle that people, like we figured out like how to do like surgery and stuff to make that not an issue.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I also, I for whatever reason find that one like horrifying, but also like motivating at the same time. It's like we can do so much to help human beings.
Totally agree. As opposed to like Sarah McLachlan, like trying to raise money for AS.
I don't know. Which one's more? Well, I want you to answer these too. Which one's more horrifying to you?
Oh, definitely the children. That's like you would never wish that on anybody, right?
Yeah.
And like to be able to correct that with some sort of surgery and live a semi normal life. Some of them look pretty good too. When I was a kid, it was definitely stick out in society. But
that's like genetic thing, right?
I don't even know what you.
Yeah, I don't even
no idea. Check this out. Have you heard of the Mariko Aoki phenomenon?
Even if I had, I wouldn't know from that pronunciation. So no, I don't think I have.
This is the sudden urge to poop while shopping. So some people walk into like Home Depot and they got to go. Target, Lowe's, that J Max.
Didn't think that's where we were going. All right, cool. No, never heard of it. Have you heard of it? I guess
no. I thought it was wild though.
And I mean, the thing that's horrifying about that is public bathrooms.
Oh, Lord, never.
Yeah.
I think my body clenches up. It's like, no, we need home field advantage.
Well, these people are opposite of you.
Who are these people just walking around society,
Yeah.
destroying everything?
These poor, hurt people. Just having to use public bathrooms everywhere.
Have you heard of the gold-plated water cooler effect? I heard about this the other day. I was like, oh, interesting.
No.
It's when a company has a monopoly, they tend to they start spending money on stupid stuff, and therefore, like the gold-plated water cooler effect, because there's like unchecked by competition.
That's interesting. I mean, it makes sense. It actually goes against, like what people say, like having a monopoly is bad, right? Like,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
because, they're saying like, well, they're going to accrue all this wealth, but they're not going to share it. It does go along with the point that I made before, and I don't hear other people make this point, which I don't understand why, which is if you really want to treat your employees well, the company needs to make as much money as possible. And that seems very, very like counterintuitive. But the reason why is because if you plot it on a correlation chart, the companies who like consistently like rank as like best places to work, and you correlated that to like their profit margin, it's almost like a perfect correlation because they have more money to invest in their employees. Therefore, their employees get treated better. Right.
Go figure, right?
Yeah. And so you look at the top of the best places to work list, and it's always these companies with insane profit levels. And it's like, oh, well, they're passing that along to their employees. And so, I don't know. So I guess what I'm saying in a weird way is monopolies aren't bad, but they can be bad. So yeah, take it for what it's worth.
There's an element of like, rising tide raises all ships too, right? It's a reason why they put all the restaurants, say, in one area, right? Or like you can go to certain areas and like only find like one specific thing. There was a story of some worker stole Coca-Cola's formula and was trying to sell it to Pepsi, and Pepsi they sent to Pepsi, and Pepsi contacted Coke immediately. Right? They could have destroyed Coke's, in theory, market
Yeah.
advantage, but it's like no, it's the actual competition's good for us because
Weird.
yeah.
I wonder if that's apocryphal or if that's a real story.
Uh, look it up with your chat GPT, everybody. So here we got one last one. We had two if you want to do two. Have you ever created or seen a coworker graveyard? And by this, I mean like all the employees that left, like you got some sort of like memorial to them.
Like a physical memorial in the office?
But potentially, I'll give you two examples that I have currently. Well, not currently. When I worked at a previous company, we were all given these magnetic titles, and like you have a cube, and you put your little thing there, and every so often you get moved to another cube, right? So you just take your little title thing and like clip it on there. But when these people left, collect them. So like now you got all your coworkers' old little like title things, and it had a whole bunch of these little things of like people that left. So it was like, oh yeah, like 10 of them, different people left.
Well, this is not what you're saying, but one thing I have done in the scavenger vein is when employees quit and they take all their stuff, but they leave certain things after they're gone. That's fair. That's fair game.
Oh, totally, 1000%.
So like I'd say a good half to 2/3 of like the office stuff I have, like a tape roll or a stapler, it's just from people who've quit who just decided not to bring it with them, and then it's fair game, So I guess you could call that's my office graveyard.
During the pandemic, like there used to be a room of all just the crap that people left when the pandemic broke out, and it was a wonderland of things. There was cases of beer and like trophies and all the office headphones and keyboards that you could imagine. But the coolest thing I saw was a 3-dimensional Biggie Smalls picture. So like you'd walk across the room, you just get that like like kind of follow you around the room. It's like wow, I don't even know where you'd buy something like that.
That is strange. I remember hearing a place I worked when the pandemic started. And like, I guess no one went to the office to like clean out the fridge or like water the plants.
Oh God.
And it was just like a death zone when they went back to try to like check into it. It was like, oh my God.
I couldn't even I would love to hear stories of, because there's a certain percentage of, say people were told on Tuesday that you're not coming back Wednesday, and by the way, you're really not coming back for 2 years. You don't know that at that point.
Yep.
But people put a tuna salad in their drawer that day, locked it. The people put who knows what.
And it happened a lot. Like,
Oh,
it's not like it was like a one. Think about the number of people who like just leave food at the office, which to me is very weird, but apparently a lot of people do it. And like that happens everywhere. And unless somebody was like strategically going around to all these companies and cleaning that stuff out, there's a lot of mold. Yeah.
a lot of mold, and like, can you imagine like that stuff like exploding in the drawer, and then just like the stench. Anyway, well, let's move on to happier topics. You want to?
I'm enjoying this. This is a good one. You got any more random stuff, or you want to do some nerdery?
I got one more if you're gonna go there. Ever had a crazy neighbor?
I have a crazy neighbor. I'm not gonna get into it though.
Oh, they may listen.
Exactly.
Oh man, I've had luckily I live in like a concrete and glass structure now, but man, when I've lived on typical house, I had a neighbor that two neighbors that refused to put their trash can. You once a week trash collector comes and gets it.
Yeah.
Insisted on putting their trash can in front of my house. And I would move it over in front of theirs, and they would get mad and move it back in front of my house. It's like, what the
fuck?
What the fuck?
Yeah. You too good for your trash? Like, what is it?
It took more effort for them to move it over onto my side than their side. When I was in Austin, there was a guy across the way, and he had this like little rental house, and he was a wild dude. He had this kind of old school like hippie van, kind of like a VW bug van, but not so much. I can't remember exactly what it was. It wasn't that cool. But one day he was out front and just like bought a bunch of spray paint and spray painted it green, the whole thing. And he did an okay job, honestly, but you could still tell like this is not a professional paint job.
Well, I'll tell you this kind of weird story where I thought I had some crazy neighbors, but it ended up not being the case. I kept finding dead animals in my yard.
Oh Lord.
This was a few years ago, and I was like, why are our neighbors killing animals and leaving it? Like, do we have like a bunch of witches around or something? They're like sacrificing things and leaving it around. I found out that we found out we had a bobcat that lived in our bushes.
Oh, okay. I was thinking you had an owl, but okay.
No, it was a bobcat. And when I was like, oh, that's what's killing all the animals and leaving them here.
Bobcat, that's pretty serious, man. They'll fuck you up.
Yeah. They're around here. I'd see one out my window all the time.
Damn. Yeah, I had an owl once, dude. Like, you go out in the backyard and like just find like bird heads like cut off with like the body laying next to it. It's like, yeah, you're like a psychopathic like teenager living near me. Like, what is going on?
Have you ever seen a vulture in real life, like near you?
I've seen them like on the highway and stuff in Texas.
I had this weird thing. It was the same house I was thinking about a second ago with the dead birds. I remember one time, like I felt like a knock on my front door. It was like more of like a thud, not like a knock. I opened it, and there was like a vulture there. I was like, "Holy crap!" And so I closed the door. And then I like was like looking like, where'd he go? And because he's like hanging around. And then like he went away. I was like, oh, thank goodness he's gone. And I went around to the back of my house and I opened the back door, and he was above the door, like waiting on me. And I was like, oh my, like this thing is like a I know they're predators, but he's like actually like waiting for me. It was very strange.
There's a guy next door with like a sickle, just like waiting for you.
And then he went and flew up on the next door neighbor's house and sat on the top and just watched. It's like, I'm waiting on you. It's like daring me to come outside.
I know you got a bobcat in there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy, dude. That's great. I had another neighbor that was like he was renting and he had bed bugs. That's he came to my porch like I have bed bugs and the way I'm gonna get rid of it is I bought a heater like a portable heater thing that like I guess you would use like warm the sidelines of a football game or something like that.
Yeah.
But I need a 220-volt plug to plug it in. And can I dismantle my dryer vent, dryer plug, move it out of the wall, get the electrical all undone so he could plug it into his wall and plug in his heater to raise the temperature of the house to like 145 degrees to kill the bed bugs. I was
I
like,
feel like that's just going to make them breed more.
it's like, this sounds like the worst plan ever.
Yeah.
How about we start with like a shower?
Yeah. How about you just
Get off my porch, by the way. Like,
Yeah,
get away from it.
Call a guy that sprays for bugs. How about that?
That's what I got, man. That's what I got.
All right. Let's do some nerdery. How about that?
Let's do it.
The nerdery. I'll hit you with one first. You have a few for me?
I do. I have 4, but we can pare it down if we're running short on time.
No worries. I'll hit this one quick. So, new study in a journal called Cognitive Research, and it says, does using artificial intelligence assistance accelerate skill decay and hinder skill development without the performer's awareness?
Yeah. Okay.
Which is very related. This is why I brought it up first.
We talked about it earlier.
We were saying earlier. Now, the funny thing about it is I wanted to, because this is a theory article. This one has no data. And so what they present is kind of a framework for how you would assess, is artificial intelligence, decreasing your skills or hindering your skill development without your awareness. The problem is, and I see this as a problem with science, is a lot of times science is one-tailed. Like think of like a one-tailed t-test versus a two-tailed test. And I see this as a two-tailed problem because there's the potential that artificial intelligence could help you accelerate you building skills and accelerate your skill development. But they're framing the research all from the negative lens of like, it could hurt you. And I actually think it probably will hurt you, but you should always look at a problem from a two-tailed lens just in case you're wrong. And so it just kind of feels like you're putting your finger on the scales when you're deciding how to research a particular topic. And so I don't know. Have you ever seen anything like this, or what do you think about this?
Interesting perspective there. And it's not too different from, I think we were talking about it earlier. I can't remember if I was talking to you or everything blends together at this point. But Ethan Mollick had done some studies or aggregated some studies around the decay of cognitive abilities or abilities overall for students that are using ChatGPT as a co-tutor versus the ones that are just using it to find answers. So the outcome was, I think, student grades. And if you're using it as a tutor, exponential results. If you're just using it to get the answers, you get no learning benefits whatsoever. MIT also just came out with an article similar where they did brain scans of people using ChatGPT. Essentially found very little activity going on in the brain. That's the big takeaway.
Yeah. If you really want to turn your brain off, use AI.
Yeah. In like apparently people. What was another big takeaway from that study? I think it was that if I know that you are using ChatGPT, I trust you less. I trust your results less, which is like an interesting output.
That is an interesting output. Huh. I wonder if that'll change over time. But again, like imagine you frame that study of like if you only would show it that it would show if results decreased over time, or instead of like it could increase or it could decrease. Like, I don't know. It frustrates me when science seems like one-sided.
Can I hit you with the role of authentic leadership in project success, exploring the mediating effects of trust and the moderating influence of charisma? Go figure. Authentic leadership is associated with higher trust and project success. But interesting, charisma has an impact on trust as well. It acts as a moderator between authentic leadership and project success. So essentially what it's saying is that yes, you can be authentic, but just because you're authentic, you need a little charisma to actually take it up a notch to project success.
Yeah. uh, Uncharismatic authenticity sounds pretty miserable.
Sounds like a jerk, right?
Yeah.
I think that's their finding. Like,
Yeah.
hey, yeah, you can be real, keep it real. Or have you ever met like it's finding someone that actually has charisma? Like I don't have it. I don't have it. Not in that way. It's really wild.
I remember hearing Bob Hogan talking about the Hogan personality inventory one time, and he said they have these two scales, which again, you can always go too far on a scale, but he's like, if a leader is high, and I believe it was mischievousness and colorful, which is basically combine those two things together and to get somebody that's high charisma, he's like, they cannot be stopped. They'll take over the world.
I love it.
Yeah. And it's just like if you're slightly mischievous and have a colorful personality, people are gonna find that.
People are gonna gravitate towards you. Like mix in like high intelligence or at least one or two SDs above.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Now you're talking like straight up like super villain type person.
I also like wonder about just like the authentic nature of that too. Like we talk about authenticity every so often, and like it caused me to question like, am I authentic? I don't know. Like there's things that like I keep private, and there's certain ways that like I present myself, but or maybe that is authentic to like say something like that. I don't know.
I go back and forth on this a lot, and frankly, like all the stuff I was saying about like anxiety and stuff earlier, I've been thinking about that for a while, and I've been going back and forth on it in terms of talking about it on here because, like, is it appropriate? Is it not appropriate? Are people going to think about you differently? Like, just like second guessing and third guessing myself all the time, which also, by the way, increases your anxiety level.
Yeah.
It's funny how that works.
I went once again. I think the spotlight fallacy is real. I don't think people really care that much about what you do. And you know what? We only got one in, as far as we know, one go around this world,
Yeah. That was that. Oh,
do your thing.
we might as well. We're all going to die someday, so we might as well say what we think, Yeah. Well, you want me to hit you with the next one?
Yeah. Hit me. Like,
all right.
We're ending a lot of things on death and bad.
Well, I got some more negativity for you. So, one of the things I introduced in the last chapter of my book, and I do have another article that's coming out about it probably before this episode comes out, is I'm revisiting my everyone gets paid the same theory. And I talk about it a little bit in the last chapter of the book, but thanks to Tomasz Chamara-Music, he found an article that talks about the higher the pay, the more the immoral, or the higher the pay, the more immoral the work. So our industry,
the more immoral the work. Interesting.
Yeah. So basically, if a job is perceived as more immoral, does it have higher pay? And what I'm showing on the screen right now is a linear chart. Basically, does like a scatter plot that has a pretty good fit indices that the more immoral a job is, the higher it is paid. And which is very much related to part of my everyone gets paid the same theory. And so, yeah, I thought this one was hilarious, but
some of the residuals off that line of fit are not terribly big. I love this.
No, they're not. It's so like at the top right, you got tobacco sales, weapons manufacturing, tobacco production, gambling and betting, and then the bottom left, you have like sports facilities and fitness facilities and public administration and construction. All of those are paid well less than tobacco sales and weapons manufacturing and all that.
Well, I mean, like people need encouragement to do things, right? And like if you're gonna, if there's profit to be made, people will do it. But you may need a little encouragement. And
everyone gets paid the same, man.
Everyone has a price too, baby.
Exactly.
Everyone's got a price. Like we're all here trying to make that scratch
in units of dissatisfaction. So there you go. What you got for me now?
Let's liven it up a little bit. We'll get off. Maybe not. I don't know. This article is from Personality and Individual Differences. Is called "More Than Just a Magic Trick." exploring an audience's supernatural attributions for magicians' performances. So the question is, what and how often do people think that a magic trick is really supernatural versus just, a sleight of hand or thing? I'm not.
Thank you for finding this.
Yeah. This is a total gossip article. I didn't know where to fit it in, but obviously, it's a very low base rate of people attributing magic to supernatural phenomenon. But what does make it more likely is higher levels of extroversion, higher levels of neuroticism, and lower levels of openness. Okay, so you got little personality factors here. What what I also find interesting is more supernatural attributions are associated with people who really enjoy going to magic shows.
Well, of course. So if you believe it's magic, you're going to go to more magic.
Well, I love that it's like people that are low on openness be like, oh, that guy's he's fucking devil up there, doing this sort of thing. And then you got like other people who are like, whoa, a wizard. I love going there.
Well, let me ask you this. Which of those two do you identify more with? The people who believe he's a wizard, or the people who are like more on the, I don't like it.
Some people really hate magicians. And I mean, I think it's kind of like a little emo talk, like not cool, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I enjoy me a good magic show. I don't know. I
love it when they do something that's so like grandiose that I have no clue how they did it. Like that to me is really cool. I'm not super big of a fan of like you put somebody in a box and then I open the box and the thing is gone, and it's like that's kind of lame. But like if you do something, like I remember watching one time where they literally like moved a mountain. And I was like, how do they do
like a Copperfield stuff, or like maybe the Statue of Liberty and this sort of thing?
Yeah, things like that are like I'm sure you're doing some kind of optical illusion or something like that, but still it looks real. And so those to me are fascinating.
I saw a video just like 3 or 4 days ago of this guy, and he ostensibly had like a wine bottle. He's at a dinner table, people all around.
Yeah.
He ostensibly had a wine bottle under a napkin. He's like banging on the table, then like pushes it all the way through the table. It's like,
yeah,
how do you do that?
How did he do it?
You're a wizard.
He's a wizard.
That's what I know. That's what I know.
Definitely.
I don't know who the hell is studying this. I don't know why you would study it, but people do study it.
I love that they studied it. I appreciate they did. I hope they study it more.
Yes, we need more sort of happy studies.
So I've definitely got the most depressing title yet of all the articles. So we've covered a few of his articles before. Pretty well known Iowa psychologist Paul Spector. I think he's retired now from the USAO. But his article is, has organizational research become meaningless? But I don't really actually think that that's what the article about is. If you look into it, it actually gets to one of my common complaints, but it's the first time I think I've heard a distinguished professor talk about it, which is our use of complex statistical methods have gotten out of control. He said, 10 years ago, when I would create a reading list for like a course, I had no trouble finding papers that use simple, straightforward statistics, like simple correlations, multiple regression, and analysis of variance. He said, fast forward 10 years, today, every paper I found uses some form of complex statistical modeling designed to test causal models that explain how the process unfolds over time. The problem is, he's not sure, again, if this is actually doing anything to improve the quality of our methods, nor it also makes it almost impossible to teach newbies about like how to do this type of research. And so, I don't know, how do you react to this one?
I couldn't agree. Well, like one thing, Paul Spector has like a great, just free library of psychometric tools and instruments that you can use. Like, shout out to Paul, thank you so much. But he's dead right. Like everything I see is like we used at the minimum like a random forest thing. It's like it's so hard to understand what is taking place and like what the actual takeaway is, because like you introduce these sort of black boxy sort of things to it, which it should be if you set up your study really well.
Mm-hmm.
You could take care of a lot of things with a chi-square.
Oh yes.
You know, if you set it up really well, you don't need fancy things. And you know what? If it's not going to pass the chi-square, it's not going to pass crazy multiple level things either. But
Yeah.
that it looks fancier, it's cooler looking. You can feel more important that you did it.
I mean, I feel like this calls back to probably, if not our first episode, one of our first episodes, where I just said like, you can answer almost any scientific question with box plots.
Yeah,
All right.
totally.
Just like, and if you need more than box plots, chances are what you're finding probably isn't true.
Mic drop, 100%, 100%. I find it interesting that he takes like the professor angle here of like, hey, really interesting finding. I can't teach it.
Yeah.
Kids struggle with the T test, right? Like
I mean,
I'm
think
gonna
about how
teach
long
this.
think about how many methods class you have to take from between the first time you learn about a t-test and the time you learn about like random forest or machine learning.
Oh my god.
So much of a learning curve, and if every research article starts with the random forest, and frankly it's not necessary most of the time too, then it creates like a pulling a ladder up behind you type of effect where you learned how to do it when it was simple,
Yeah.
but now you're training it and now it's all complex, and now nobody can ever learn like you learned.
No one can do that, and not to mention, you know how many people, well-educated people, struggle with a logistic regression,
Yeah.
right? Like try to interpret that odds ratio, how to convert that to probability. I mean, it's substantial, and I'm not talking like 20% substantial. I'm talking like 50+% would really struggle with that.
Yeah, that's why I'll be honest, I struggle with combining odds into probabilities. We've had Keith McNulty on
Yeah.
talk about it. I just keep it as odds. It's easier to understand if you keep it as odds.
Yeah.
As my opinion of it.
Yes. Fun fact: probability ranges from 0 to 100. There you go.
Yeah.
And there you go. That's a quick thing there. You want me to hit you with one?
Yeah. I think you might got one or two more left. I'm done.
Oh, you're done. Okay. Listen.
I had a bunch and I reread them. I had 8 articles and I scrapped 5 of them because I was like, yeah, I don't want to talk about the same.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that you had more. Okay.
I did.
Here, I will.
I was feeling particularly spicy with the articles I found today. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna lay off this one today.
This is called. I'm about to have to pee too. So like, I got my
You're right.
Ikiori or whatever phenomenon's going on.
Yeah.
But this is called it's from earth.com, some sort of like science journal. Third state of existence between life and death confirmed by scientists. So it's like, oh, what's this all about? Like there's some sort of like spiritual realm in between like life and death. But essentially what they're saying is like they've confirmed they can like replicate it, that when you pass away, there's a certain number of cells in your body that can be resuscitated if it's given nutrients and oxygen to become these other little mechanisms that can perform basic biological functions. And it's neither alive nor really dead, but it essentially can be resuscitated by
I think what you're talking about is zombies. I think
kind of. And like they like technical terms for like what they're talking about, and they're talking about like very sort of small like micro machines, but essentially that's what's going on.
that is truly wild, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
So it does remind me kind of like viruses. They always say that
Yeah.
viruses are actually not necessarily alive, but they do replicate. And so it's sort of like that.
Well, I mean, you think about your body, and it's like we're just like really a collection of like micro animals. If you're like
Yeah.
you get a microscope to like your saliva or something like that, you'd be horrified.
Well, it's so weird. Like, it's really weird that our brains send like an electrochemical current
Yeah.
and our fingers do something. Like, that's so strange if you really think about it sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention the toxoplasmosis
Not to mention.
raging through the body.
Yeah.
Okay, we got one more. This is from Science Daily. Finding friendship at first whiff. Scent plays a role in platonic potential. So essentially, what they found here is that women can tell if they're going to be friends with another woman in 4 minutes. I mean, that kind of makes sense.
With
Like,
their
you
hold on, I'm laughing because are they saying this because they smell them for 4 minutes?
not no. This is irrespective of smell, right? But
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought it was funny. I was like, because they're smelling of and they're like, "Oh, we're friends now."
we'll come to that. This is the outcome measure. This is the outcome measure. So this is like a known, sort of standard fact or whatever. Women can tell that they're gonna be friends within 4 minutes. It makes sense. You feel the vibe.
Sure.
Like, are you
Yeah.
the same, this sort of thing? But essentially, scent is shaped by your daily choices. Like, you go mow the lawn, maybe you wear the perfume. I don't know, whatever. And people have a consistent like for preferred smells. But two women can tell if they're going to be friends, i.e., the outcome measure would be like later on they met for 4 minutes until they like each other, by smelling the T-shirt of the other one just once,
Whoa.
and it's like very consistent results.
Well, I will say this: that could be corrupted depending on if you looked at the distributions of the smells.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, t-shirt, like, think of like 3 t-shirts, like a t-shirt that smells nice, a t-shirt that smells like nothing, and a t-shirt that smells god awful. Right? And it's like, well, chances are that people that have t-shirts that smell nice will be like, oh, I'd be friends with this person, and the people that have t-shirts that smell awful aren't going to be friends. And I feel like that is not as like a profound finding if that's really true.
I have a feeling that they did more controls than just like Downy soft versus like garbage dump T-shirt. Probably just had some new, but apparently it's pretty consistent in what you prefer within person,
Yeah.
as opposed to like between person analysis. Uh, interesting. Well, once again, like back to the human biome, we are a collection of weirdness, right? And maybe it's cultural, maybe it's personal, who knows? But we can essentially identify friends, or at least women can, fairly quickly.
Well, I think that's probably a good wrapping spot since this has been a fairly weird episode that we're a collection of weirdness. But I don't know, anything you want to wrap up with today?
No, I think we're good. This is a wild one. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. And thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate it. Well, you've been listening to Directionally Correct, the People Links podcast with Cole and Scott. Today's guest, nobody.
Nobody.